to choose a midwife that is a great fit for you. Now, all of my experience with working with midwife has been in Nashville, Tennessee. So I am going to kind of cater this to what it is like to work with a midwife in Nashville as of 2024. Now, when you do some research looking into what should I do in terms of finding a midwife and how do I find the right fit and how do I make sure that we are going to work really well together, and a lot of the advice that you will find online tells you to interview your midwife and really do your research of looking around, comparing them all, finding the one that is the right fit for you. And I 1000% agree. The downside is that as of right now in Nashville, Tennessee, we don't have enough midwives. We need so many more. And I greatly hope that so many more, open practice here and, that we get so many more great providers. But as it is right now, we don't have a super large selection in terms of how many you can choose from versus the demand for them. Because of that, you don't really want to spend a lot of time. So once you are already pregnant, you've kind of already hit the point where you should know who you want to work with and where you want to go. So what I really recommend is before you even get pregnant, that's a great time to put in your research. So look into it when you're in that pre-pregnancy planning state, if you can. Now, I know a lot of people can't do that. Sometimes pregnancy comes out of the blue, or we just didn't have time to plan, depending on what your situation is. But if you have the opportunity in Nashville to look in advance, I highly recommend that, because then you can actually put the time into finding the right fit. You can call different offices and speak to their front desk, and you can ask them a couple questions. I wouldn't go too crazy, before you even have a baby on the way. But you can, ask general questions to see if they are a good fit for you. You can make sure they come to your location. Every midwife has a travel radius. So you want to make sure that you are within that working distance that works really well for them. You want to see if your birth plans kind of align. You can kind of get a concept of what it is like to work with them. A lot of that you can pick up from the website. They typically do a pretty good job of describing it. But in that first visit, when you finally do choose a midwife, set it up and sit down with them, that first visit, you can really dive into what some of your expectations are, what some of your visions are for this pregnancy, for how you want to deal with interventions, how you want to deal with different testing that comes along the way, what you would love for your birth to look like, and what kind of situations or resolutions do you have for if problems come up or problems arise. What does that look like? These are all great conversations to have, especially in that first couple visits that you have with your midwife. But as it is in Nashville, you kind of already need to know who you want to work with essentially as soon as you pee on a stick and confirm that you are pregnant. All the women that I work with, I let them know, the second you are pregnant, you need to be contacting the provider that you want to work with to make sure that you do get on their schedule, because like I said, we just don't have enough providers here as of right now in 2024. I hope that over the years, as this video lives on the internet, that problem greatly shifts and that we have so many providers here that we don't even know what to do with all of them. I know it can be kind of overwhelming to choose a midwife and narrow it down, but I promise we have so many great providers in this area as of right now. Years from now, I can't speak on the topic quite yet, but I feel so confident in the care that I have been provided. I have personally worked with 3 different midwives in the Nashville area. Our original midwife that we trained with for weeks and weeks had 3 births in the exact same weekend with our first birth. And that's just something that happens. And that happens in hospitals too. A provider that you prepare with and plan with It doesn't necessarily guarantee that they're going to be the one attending your birth. But the great thing is these are all so well trained, and everyone, knows what they're doing. And each midwife that I have ever worked with lets me know who their backup providers are, so that if something is to arise on that day when, I'm in the thick of labor, I know who to expect that, might be coming as backup for that labor. So for our first birth, we had backup midwives come to help deliver our daughter. And that can be really stressful at first if you don't, kind of plan your mind around that. But I had zero stress on the topic. I was just so glad we had help. So glad that someone was able to come. They got here so quickly, and they were tremendous help with delivering our daughter. And, like I said in some other videos, especially in the birth book video, I don't know if you've watched that one yet, but I talk about how birth stories, we plan and we plan and we plan, but you never truly know how your birth is going to go. So you really need to train your mind for backup plans, and to know that backup plans are okay, and backup plans can go just as smooth as plan A. If we let stress get in the way, if we let our body go through the roof with stress, that is just going to impact our birth, and not in a positive way. So we have some control over that. It's all situational, depending on what you have come up. But little things like that, just train your mind and know that it's going to be okay, and everything is going to work out, and that there are plans in place. So that's a great thing to talk to your provider about. Also, is if for some reason you're unavailable the day that I do give birth, who will be able to help me? And like I said, with all the providers I've ever worked with, they had backup plans in place, and I was aware of that, and everything was wonderful. So again, this is very city specific. I can't speak on other cities. I have not worked with midwives in other cities than Nashville, Tennessee. So if you are looking to do a home birth in Nashville, Tennessee, I highly recommend doing your research far in advance. Get an idea of what your options even are. You don't have to narrow it down to just one. Maybe narrow it down to like your top 3 or 4. That way, when you find out that you are pregnant, you have that call list ready, and hopefully you are able to get on their schedule before they fill up, and you get exactly, the provider you are looking for. If you have any questions, or if I forgot to mention anything, throw it in the comments and I can answer questions there. But I hope this video was helpful for finding a midwife in Nashville, Tennessee.